Hello and welcome to this second video explaining the basics of World of Warships. This time we're going to look into some of the ship types, and we're starting with the cruiser. The cruiser is in every single country, it's the line that you start with. So every single country that there is in the game starts with a cruiser. Well, they put it in the cruiser line, but it actually isn't a cruiser. It's a gunboat that was most of the time made for coastal patrols and defenses of rivers and things like that. So these are very small ships. Once you get up to tier 2, they'll really be cruisers, and a lot of the time tier 2, 3 and sometimes 4 are old armored cruisers. You can see the Americans have the Chester here at tier 2, and the St. Louis. I'll have to repurchase this as well because this is a very fun ship. The St. Louis at tier 3. Those are really slow cruisers with loads of guns and pretty good armor. If you look at this, for cruisers, this actually is pretty good armor. So now that we're talking about armor, cruisers, battleships and aircraft carriers all have a citadel. You can see this part is the citadel here. It's underneath the ship. Let's just peel off some layers of the armor. This is the citadel. You can see that here. Citadel actually means that all the crucial parts of the ship, like the engines, the storage rooms with fuel and ammunition and things like that, are all in that part of the ship. A lot of times that's underneath the waterline, or at least it's in the lower parts of the ship. You can fire at these parts of the ship and at the superstructure, and it will of course do a lot of damage. But if you get the chance to get citadel hits, to hit and penetrate of course the armor here, and land your shots into the citadel, that will do most damage to your enemy, and you'll take them out quickest. So well, these cruisers were armored cruisers, and you can see that this had 102 millimeters of armor. If you look at the next one, the Phoenix at tier 4, this was one of those ships that actually didn't exist. It was a study model. It led up to the tier 5, which did exist, the Omaha cruiser. But if you look at this armor, it's actually less armor on this ship than on the tier 3, while the ships that you're facing do have bigger guns. So this is actually a more vulnerable ship than the previous one, and that also means that this ship you need to start playing differently. This is a light cruiser, and a light cruiser is made for well, first of all, to be maneuverable, to take out destroyers, to be escorts to your carriers and your battleships. Make sure you provide covering with your anti-aircraft defenses. And on this ship, when it's stock, so when you've just purchased it, it's not really good at the anti-air defense role yet. You can see that it's only got 4 guns, 2 big ones and 2 small ones. But once you reach this, the last hull, you can see that it's actually improved quite a lot. It's not as good yet as later cruisers, but that is the role. It's a support ship. You can do things by yourself, like take out destroyers and take out other, well, lightly armored cruisers, things like that. But it's not really meant to go out and hunt for a carrier or hunt battleships by themselves. That is really not what this ship is built for. On tier 4 and 5, the Americans do have torpedoes on their cruisers as well, and you'll have to see my video about destroyers to go into more depth about torpedoes and how to use them. But this is a really nice example of a light cruiser. Tier 5 still is a light cruiser. It's got more guns, as you can see, but it's still very lightly armored. The armor still 76 millimeters, so that's less than the armor on tier 3. And you can imagine that might actually get you into trouble if you show your sight to other ships. It's going to be really easy for them to penetrate this and do loads of damage with your ship. So make sure you're when you're playing this ship, you're not going to be sailing in a straight line for very long, because that will make it really easy for the enemies to figure out where you are going to be and just take you out. Tier 6 is another nice light cruiser. You can see that the anti-air defense rating has gone up from, well, I think it was a rating of 6 or something like that with a tier 4 ship, and now this with of course with the upgraded hull is actually 69. So that is really good. It's a really good anti-air cruiser. And starting at tier 7, you can see that the guns get bigger, 203 millimeters. So these are heavy cruisers. Does it mean that this ship is very heavily armored? No, it still has the same armor. Though some of the heavy cruisers, like the German heavy cruisers, if you look at those, starting at tier 7 and 8, they do have better armor. And there are light cruisers, like the British light cruisers, all the way up to tier 10, actually have less armor than this. So there's a very big difference in how you play these cruisers. They still are all cruisers, and they get grouped into one line, but there is a very big difference in how you play a light or a heavy cruiser. Well, that's enough talk about cruisers in general. Let's just pick a very small cruiser for one small co-op battle. Just to show you what this ship is made for, I'll be playing one game in a cruiser. I hope there's going to be an aircraft carrier as well, and at least some destroyers, so I can take those out. Well, you can see no aircraft carriers here. There's a battleship, and of course the enemy team consists of bots. You can see those names are totally different than the real player names, but their team is as strong as ours in ships. So they do have 3 different battleships, 2 cruisers, and 3 destroyers. What you do with this ship, I do have a spotter plane, which will increase my the firing range of my guns considerably, and I have hydroacoustic search, which is actually like a sonar that will show me where torpedoes are going in a certain range, and also if there's enemy ships hiding in smoke, I can get close up to them and then use this. Which only has an action time of 90 seconds, so if I don't find them in those 90 seconds, I'll have another problem. But that is what you use that for. You can spot things that aren't visible in another way. It looks like our ship, our team, is moving to the south. And since I'm I'm a support ship, I can't just go to A and hope I don't find anyone else. This Congo here, a battleship, and this Nicholas here, a destroyer, they should be able to help me. And if they're all sailing away, then I don't think there's going to be a lot of help. So I'll just follow the Nicholas and see what he's going to do, and then support him. The cruiser is also the most versatile. It can do loads of things. It can actually hit loads of ships with its, most of the time, pretty good guns. A lot of the times it has torpedoes, it's got good AA range, and lots of other things. So it's a very versatile ship. If at some point there is no destroyers in your ship anymore, it will be the ship to go to for spotting and reconnaissance. In real life, cruisers were used for reconnaissance as well. And well, cruisers are just the ship to go to when you want a light ship doing well, all kinds of different tasks. I do think that that Nicholas over there has to be taken out really quickly. By the way, there's several different ways to fire my guns. If I just click once, it'll fire one gun. If I click twice, it'll fire all the guns in one salvo. But I can also hold the mouse button, and then it'll ripple fire, so it'll fire them all in succession. Let's make sure we don't hit the island. Set a fire to the Nicholas. That's a good thing, because I do want to take him out as soon as possible. I don't want his torps to reach me. Oh, there's another island. There, that is that. Now the Omaha. That's going to be my next target. I have lost quite some hit points myself already. But luckily I set him on fire. That's always a good thing. I'm trying to maneuver so it becomes harder for him to hit me. And also, especially for the battleship, because once the battleship hits me, that is really going to be a problem. He's turning this way. I'm going to fire torpedoes to him as well. And since I have torpedoes on both sides of my ship, I'm going to turn around and hopefully be able to fire torpedoes from the other side of my ship as well. But I don't think that's actually necessary anymore, so I'll keep those. So, kill number 2. Now you can see the Congo over there. He's pointing his guns in my direction, and he's turning. So if I move my ship and point at him, with a heavy cruiser you might actually be able to take some of the shells and bounce them on your armor. With a light cruiser, that's not going to work. If he hits me, he's still going to damage me a lot. He might actually kill me in one blow. But pointing my nose at him, it will make sure that my ship has a very small profile. Let's see, fire my torps and turn around and hopefully not get too much of a hit. The torpedoes on the other side of my ship are also reloaded, so I'll fire those as well. Okay, set them on fire and hit 3 torps. That's not bad. My torps actually caused a flood, and as you can see, his secondary guns are all firing at me as well, a lot. So, but that wasn't actually what took me out. What took me out was the main battery guns of the Britannia over there. But you can see my damage here is still counting up because I caused a flood, and I might still get the kill on him. I think I also set him on fire. Here we go. That was my 3rd kill in this battle. And though they are controlling both the A zone and they're capping the B zone, and we don't even have the C zone, we still have more points. That is what this battle mode is all about. You need to make sure that you reach 1000 points before the enemy reaches it. And as you can see, you're going to lose points for losing allied ship, and you're going to gain points for destroying enemies. Destroying an enemy carrier will gain you 45 points. Losing one of your own will lose you 65 points. You also get 3 points every 5 seconds if you're controlling one of the caps. So let's say that our team now sails away, all of them, then we still will be losing because they have more caps than our team. Let's look at our Britannia over here. Well, you know, I didn't really play a good support role, but that's also because there wasn't really a lot to support here. I more or less went forward and hoped my skill would win the game. or at least would get me a good score, and it looks like it did. 78,000 hit points of damage, 2 floods started, 6 fires started, 3 kills, 75 hits with my main guns, and 3 hits with my torpedoes. So that wasn't bad at all. But looking at this ship, you can see that this actually fires a lot slower, unless you're looking at the secondary guns. And this was actually a pretty good game, so let's see what happens when we look at the results screen, because this is going to be a win. So here it is, the results screen. 108,000 credits earned, 1230 experience, 62 free experience, 78,000 damage done. Well, this we've already looked at already. Some combat missions, I did a little more. I was the top player on the team, but it's not really by much. You know, I've only got 10 experience more, and he actually got 2 extra kills, so that wasn't bad at all. By the way, this is a pink player. Pink means he damaged one of his teammates to a certain extent. A lot of the times people like that are called team killers, but sometimes it just happens. In 3,000 battles, it has happened to me twice that I actually damaged or killed one of my team members, and that can just happen. It's not something that you do on purpose a lot of the times. Detailed report, you can see that I've damaged the Congo for 55,000 hit points, the Omaha for 14,000 hit points, and the Nicholas for 8,000 hit points, and there was 3 ships I actually killed as well. I hit 3 torpedoes out of the 9 I launched, which did 29,000 damage. I started 6 fires, which did 9,000 damage, and 2 floodings for 11,000 damage, and the rest was done by the 75 hits out of 149 shells that I fired. So I hit 1 more than half, or actually 1/2 shell more than half of the fires I hit, of the shells I fired. You can see that this is what I earned, and with a premium account you get more than without a premium account, but I still would have made a nice profit there. And also, once you play the random battles, you'll get more credits and experience than when you play the co-op battles. Free experience is over here, and you can use this experience to to work on any ship. For instance, if you have the Chapayev here, look at this. I have 1,572 experience on this. Let's say I want to research this, and at some point I'm going to, of course. It will say that I only need 12,000 experience, and I don't need the 23,500 experience if you only look at that. That's because this amount, which you get for every single battle, you get a certain amount of free experience. You can get more. So I hope this was useful. A very short look into cruisers. Of course, there's very different ways to play cruisers, and there's also some crossover ships. Like when you're looking at Russian cruisers, a lot of the people will say that the Moskva, which is the tier 10 Russian cruiser, I'm not there yet. I will be before too long. This is actually a battleship, and if you look at the armor layout, I can see why they're saying that, because this is just a very, very big ship, not just in size but also in armor and in gun caliber as well. And there are some crossover ships that are more or less in between 2 different types. Graf Spee, the German premium tier 6 cruiser, Deutschland class. This is one of those ships as well. It's got a caliber that was also on the Scharnhorst, which was a battleship or a battle cruiser. It's got 15 centimeter guns as secondary weapons, and a lot of the cruisers at tier 6 will have these as primary weapons. So that is really different. And if you look at the armor layout as well, it's got pretty big armor, big numbers here. Torpedo bulges, which most of the time only battleships have. You can see that this really is a very well armored and armed ship, and this really is one of those crossover ships as well. It's in between 2 different types of ships. and there's more of those around the game. So I hope this was useful. If you did like it, and if you did think it was useful, let me know by liking the video, subscribing as well, and if you didn't, let me know by disliking the video, and please put any other questions in the comments. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you later. Bye.